guy, as some of you know. And I said to Jay, I said, well, how am I doing? And all he said was, if we take care of the soil and the water, everything else will be okay. It's that, and you know, the very basic concepts that we deal with of ecosystem management. Sustainable forest and grassland ecosystem management is another theme of the natural resources agenda, and I won't spend a lot of time talking about that other than the fact that we do have the best technologies in the world, you know, and we need to apply them. But many of our forest management issues today are social issues. They're not technical, silvicultural issues, and we need to work with people today more than ever. And it's messier, and they question us more than they ever have before. But the one thing that we have is we've got the science and technology and years of resource professionalism in this organization. And we just need to get more patient with the system and more comfortable in, as the reinvention hearings told us in the early 90s, that when the Forest Service said, you know, asked the American public, what do you expect of the Forest Service? They said they wanted us to be the educators, the facilitators, and catalysts for bringing people together in local communities. And the communication skills and education skills are more important today than ever. And I see the context of forest management as much of a social issue in building trust, in applying the technologies that we have. Forest roads, we can talk about roads as much as you want to talk about them, but the fact is I took on the roads issue because if there were a major program that was in the emergency room, it was that one. 2 years ago, we came within one vote in the House of Representatives of losing 80% of the program. We're only maintaining 40% of our roads to environmental and safety standards. There's a big fight in Congress every year over roads, and somehow I saw the Forest Service as missing from that debate. It was almost like we were the football. And I thought it was important that we take that issue on, because, you know, roads are an important part of the infrastructure of rural America, and with the 380,000 miles of roads we have, we're an important part of that, and we need to be viewed as part of that. And there should be support for a program for funding that there isn't. And the roads issue is still in play, will continue to be in play, but I think this is the first year in Congress that our roads program hasn't been attacked funding-wise, and I think it's important that we, as resource professionals, not just react to policies developed by others, but you know, it wasn't too many decades ago the Forest Service was developing most of its own policies and laying them on the table for Congress. Then we went into the reactive mode, and I think part of conservation leadership is developing those policies, putting them on the table, and be part of the debate. And if we put 3 or 4 things on the table, we might get 1 or 2. But that's better than reacting to Congress, to other entities, whatever constituency they be, and lay those professionally based policies on the table. And then there's recreation. We're the largest provider of recreation in the United States. 865 million visitor days in 1996. We'll probably be exceeding a billion. And people value national forests with their relationship to quality of life more than ever. And we have to determine and work toward how are we going to fund this organization as times change. And the transition that we're moving from is we were able to fund the Forest Service on the back of timber a few decades ago. KV, brush disposal, all of the offline funds, our roads, those days are over. And we've got to work with Congress and everyone and convince them of the importance of making investments in land. And my request of you here this morning is you take the story to your friends, your neighbors, to anybody that will listen, and tell them about what we do, you know, why it's important. And the values that we have as an agency, I believe, are more important than ever. Today it's associated with quality of life, with open space. Do you know that from 1978 to 1994, the number of tracts of land in the United States, less than 50 acres, doubled? And the large tracts of land, whether they're national forests, national parks, state forests, and private ownerships, are more valuable than ever. And we've got to make sure that people understand why they're important, that we're the stewards of that, and that our ultimate mission is in everything we do, work within the limits of the land to preserve those options for future generations so they'll have a quality of life, places to go hunting, fishing, hiking, biking, camping like we did, and that will become more valuable in the future. And the thing that's important is to simplify our message as much as we possibly can. Why do you think Bill Gates is one of the richest people in the world? A lot of you, even Howard, had studied, DOS, Fortran, COBOL, all of the complexities of the computer language. And what Bill Gates did is he took all that stuff so many of us struggled with and turned it into point and click and was able to put it in everybody's home. And I believe one of the keys today is simplifying our message and simplifying everything we do. Customer service, make it user-friendly. And let's not be overly technical when we talk to people. Let's talk about what people value. Because what we do is really good stuff. And one of the most amazing things with this job is I think about, why is it that natural resource management is so controversial? We're not selling plutonium to anyone. And we need to talk about, hunting and fishing and open space and clean water, healthy forests, vibrant local economies. This is good stuff. And our challenge is to take that positive message every place we go. And that's the way we build our support base. USA Today had a poll that it publishes polls every Thursday. And about two or three months ago, the question they asked was how American people want their tax dollars to be spent. And they listed the top 5. Number 1, education. Number 3, security and defense. And number 5 was natural resource management. And there's a basic principle of marketing that says money flows to things that people want. And natural resources is right at the top. And that's why it's so important for us to take our story and tell people every place we go, because money flows to things that people want. And I believe people value healthy resources, healthy forests, recreation opportunities, and all the associated things with that more today than they ever have. So take that story, tell it to anybody that will listen, and that's the way we'll build our support base. I don't believe our budgets have to continue to go down, but it's up to us to tell that story in a positive way to build that support base and not rely on somebody else to do that. And if each and every one of 30,000 employees tells that story and helps people connect with why land management, why stewardship is important, our budgets can grow. Let me stop there and we'll talk about whatever any of you want to talk about. I haven't caught a muskie, but I found some lake trout, crappies, smallmouth, and even a few walleyes. Mm-hmm.
Mike, we all support your mission and the changes that are going on. We have an extremely capable workforce which can do those changes, and we're real proud of ourselves. We do have a problem, you touched on the end on budget. When we have a budget which has effectively went down 40% in the last 8 years, our workforces went down by 25% personnel-wise. Our workforce is aging, where our average age is something like 48, 49 years old. We're getting to the critical point where how can we keep everything open? We're talking about potentially closing offices, maybe even the Heyward office. How can we get over this hump right now? As you say, it's up to us to get our mission out, and we're going to try and do that. But in the interim here, we're suffering, and as our local community, as our image and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can we get over this hump here right now? We're not doing too good right now. Yet our people are extremely capable. We're carrying out our mission. We're doing it.
Yeah.
We're being overtaxed.
Yeah. I obviously don't have all the answers, but a couple of things to keep in mind is as we deal with the challenges in the organization, it's important to remember, you know, it's not only us. You know, government-wide, we're down about 300,000 employees over the last 6 to 8 years, and the Forest Service is part of that. Part of that government-wide downsizing. The same goes for the budget. In fact, we've done better than some organizations in holding our own budget-wise. The reason the natural resource message is so important to tell people is the proportion of the federal budget going to all of natural resource management, that would be parks, forests, you name it, is significantly less than it was 20 years ago. And as we have balanced the budget, we need to make sure that people understand the importance of natural resource management so we get a bigger piece of the pie. And we won't get it by complaining. We'll get it by putting a positive step forward and articulating why it's important that we do what we do. I believe that the transition that we're in now is something that we need to work at very hard at the local level. You know, I'm asking, you know, forest supervisors, district rangers, all the employees, you know, to really work closely with the local communities and make sure we look at what services are most important and how we maintain that. One of the things that we're not very good at is doing less. The Forest Service has always been part of stepping up to the plate and the can-do attitude in the organization, and we just need to work through this and be patient, work with local people, continue to build a support base, and take it from there. Demographics, Art mentioned the demographics of the organization. That's something I'm very concerned with, because as you look at, you know, leadership at all levels, we are an organization and with an aging workforce. We're concerned about the wildland firefighting organization, and in fact, we have such a low, seem like, you know, just not enough people to fight fires. Well, if you count the number of people in the organization that we have that are under 30 years old, it's not hard to see why we have problems in getting enough firefighters out. Anybody else?
Can you give me your vision of the Forest Service in the year 2008? And do you also see, I guess what I'll deem as more horizontal integration of the different deputy areas and what they do, you know, over this, say, the next 10-year period?
Mm-hmm. The integration in the deputy areas, I think, is already occurring. In fact, some of the things that I've tried to do in Washington is I found it seemed like almost the entire organization was in the reactive mode, and we weren't spending nearly enough time dealing with problems before they became big problems. And I've sort of what I call looking ahead of the headlights. And so what I've done is I've asked the deputies, and now they're calling themselves sort of a board of directors of deputies, where they sit down and a state and private research and national forest systems and administration work together very very, very closely. One of the things that as I came into this job, people said that they felt that there was you know, too much functionalism within the organization and then too much competition within those functions. I think we're making some progress there. We've got to make a lot more progress, and I want to mention state and private because I think state and private has been shortchanged. 80% of the people in the United States today grow up in urban areas. That's a tremendous support base that we have. Urban forestry, 60 million acres of urban forest in the United States. And you know, people love trees. In the city of Atlanta, you can plant 3 trees around a single family home of the right species in the right location and cut your air conditioning costs by 40%. You know, we're the organization that knows how to do that. And we've got to take forestry, take resource management to people because swing vote in Congress is the urban vote. The swing vote in Congress is east of the Mississippi for this agency. And that's important. And all ecosystem management is about integration. So, you know, as we talk about integration and an interdisciplinary approach, we've been moving that direction, but have to continue to go faster.
Where will we be in 10 years?
Well,
what will the Forest Service of 10 years in the future look like?
I don't pretend to know all the answers, but we need to simplify our approach. We need to be ruthless at cutting process. If we don't streamline our planning process, somebody else is going to do it for us. We're spending too much money as an organization in complexity. And this is true, true of all agencies, not just the Forest Service. We may have pockets of more complexity than others. We've got to figure out how to get more money to the ground and spend less money in process at all levels of the organization. I'd like to see happy employees, people that look forward to coming to work every day. Stronger education programs, outreach programs, and helping people understand the importance of open space, of good forest management. I guess we could go on, and I should probably be asking all of you that same question. Those are just a few points that I could make.
Connected to that, 80% of Americans live in cities. What is the Forest Service specifically doing to include them, integrate them into our vision and what we do?
Not nearly. The question was 80% of the people in the United States live in cities. What are we as an organization doing to help them be part of what we do and support us? Not nearly enough. As we moved into this era of controversy in the mid to late 80s that we're still in somewhat today, I think more and more of the organizational energy was pulled into the zone of controversy. And in fact, I use just a comparison of we've got to look for zones of agreement and focus energy in zones of agreement. You've got 3 kinds of issues, and it's true at home, it's true in your neighborhood and every place else that we've got issues that there's total disagreement on. And no matter what you do, you're going to have controversy. There's issues somewhat in between, and then there's a green zone. There's issues where there's good agreement on. And as we moved into the era of litigation, and remember, the court systems are relatively new in resource management. It's only about the last 30 years that the court system has played a major role in natural resource management, and we're still adjusting with how to work within that kind of a context. And that's why I ask employees to focus on the positive thing. You know, people love trees, people love open space, they love wildlife, and all these kinds of things that we do. And we've got to help people in cities connect with the importance of that. And, you know, we do that through urban programs, through education programs. Even in the city of Milwaukee, if we increase the canopy cover by 15%, you reduce air conditioning costs for citizens that live there. You reduce stormwater runoff costs. You reduce water treatment costs. There's all sorts of relationships, and we have to help people connect to that. I see George. Neil, we'll take one more. Neil.
Mike, I know budgets are tough, and you've had the Forest Service had a tough time for several years, starting with the Reagan administration, cutting budgets. One of the reactions has been over time to combine forests. That was popular for a while and was doable. And some ranger districts were combined. And even today, where we are, in Schwab and Nicolay, they've in essence combined the two forests, but you maintain an office in two places. On the Great Divide District, there are two offices for the same district. Private industry would never operate like that. When you have one unit and you keep two offices for the same unit, that's not very cost effective or very efficient. There's also been a study by the Forest Service, and I think GAO assisted with it, looking at organizations above the supervisor's level in the regions. And if I remember that study correctly, it shows that the Forest Service would get along with 4 or 5 regions, probably as well as it does with the ones they have now, because communications are better and everybody's hooked up with the computers and things like that, so you can talk quickly. Airplanes get there pretty fast, but there has never been any serious effort. I don't see, at least I haven't seen a serious effort by the Forest Service to start combining at the regional level. And there's some real money there that can be put in the field. And what I see mainly is chipping away at the field level more than any place else.
Yeah.
And that's where the people are, and that's where you're pointing out the focus ought to be.
Yeah.
What do you see ahead for organization of Forest Service, or reorganization of Forest Service to make it more efficient and get those dollars to the ground instead of in these various places where they really don't do what needs to be done on the ground?
As we talk about collaborative stewardship and being more integrated, in fact, I believe that we probably need to be located in more communities, more integrated into communities, rather than moving people away from communities in larger offices. The question is, how do you do that as an organization? How do you become closer to people? Because a lot of the challenges we have, we've literally moved the resource manager out of the field into the office. And you'd be amazed what people can do, solve problems leaning over the back of a pickup with a landowner, that's what we've got to figure out how to do, and we'll do that by cutting process, and we'll do that by using more modern technologies. Now, if you take a look at organizational psychology, and the Forest Service is a big, tough organization with as strong a culture as almost any organization in the country. The inertia in a large organization is to maintain the status quo. Budget, structure, staffing, everything. That's the real inertia. And the challenge is to set the stage so you can change over time. And I think a lot about the technologies that we have today and people working, in different locations in smaller offices as we are the facilitators and bringing people together in communities. We've got to push that hard, but it's got to happen at every, at every level with strong communications with employees, because if not, we'll stop it ourselves within the organization. And I think, as a matter of fact, that's probably happened, in many instances as an organization. It's a topic we could we could talk about all morning as to what what the organizational structure could be like. We could start all kinds of rumors here as a result of the conversation. I think that both headquarters and regional levels need to really look at their roles, and what they do for the organization. Is a 4-layer organization appropriate for this time? With the communications that we have, do we have to repeat budget analysis at every level of the organization?
Yeah,
all of those kinds of things. And I think clearly the answer is no. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Okay, Lynn.
Move on to the next activity, and I just wanted to give you this to let you know, and it's called Implementing the Forest Service Natural Resource Agenda on the Schwammen and Nicolay, and this is something we're doing. You're getting the first copy. We hope this is going to get a lot thicker, but this is how we're going to tell the good
thank
story.
you.
So you get the first copy.
Well, I appreciate that.
Next time, maybe it'll be this thick. Thanks.
And I got to pay up here. Did you pay? Hey.
Here you go, Mike. Thanks for the smile. I was a part of that Vernon Bird exchange.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for your support on all that.
That's too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
All right.
Oh, so you probably know Suzanne. Yeah. She's my bud. She's 10 and 3/4. 10, 3/4. And how much Jill?
Hot. We need to be able to read this.
9.
What is
9.
I'm saying 50.
Honeys? Okay, so we want to give you a large. Now just hang on to this because we're going to give you a bag to put it all in. And let's see, how big are you? I think probably a large for you too. And you look like a medium.
Okay, now let's see. You want to put your stuff in your bag so you can fish and not worry about your stuff, okay?
I can. I don't wear it.
Can you write your name on the outside of the bag?
Lauren and Kate.
Kate.
Okay, we're
No, I
missing.
got. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right.
Oh, here.
Dad, I need the bag.
Oh, you need the bag open?
So if you write their name in your bag, so.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Class of 66. You graduated from Heyward?
Yes. Yes, I remember you from high school.
Yeah. Time flies, doesn't it?
Well, and my hair's getting gray too.
I can relate to that. What can I do to give you a hand? You want to put some hooks and stuff on?
Did you bring any bobbers with you, Mike?
No, I could have.
I've got a few, but whatever I've got, that's what I'm going to do next. So far, I've got one rigged with a hook and 2 sinkers. I've got these set up, and I'm putting hooks on them right now.
Okay.
And thank you for asking. I have a hook right here. I have some sinkers right here. And my fingers don't work real good, so I need those pliers for putting sinkers on. If you'd rig one up with me, that'd be great.
Where's you going fishing, Ken?
I'd like to. I don't have a license. Now you're a long time fisherman. Now when you tie a hook on, do you go like this? How do you do it?
Yeah.
That's the way you do it too?
Sure.
Good.
Except the part of the problem is when you start going blind.
Well, that's why we got bifocals.
Let him help you
Yeah.
out, sweetie. You're gonna get that all tangled.
How are you doing? Let me rig up, put a hook on for you. Do you know how to tie a hook on?
No.
See there, you just
My
take
dad
it.
keeps on showing me, but I
Just
forget.
take it like that. And then you just twist it around. 6 or 8 times, just like that, and you just slip it through that loop, and then through the big one again, and just pull it tight,
So that he's done this 1,000 times.
just like that.
Probably more than that.
Well, let's just hook this up here, so nobody gets caught with a hook,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my dad always does.
and you can hang on to that.
You want to shake hands with her? This is Stratton. Stratton, this is Mike.
Where do you live, Stratton?
We're in Glidden.
Glidden.
I'm Mary Lucas. I'm with
Mary,
the Forest Service office
yes.
in Glidden. We have the dogs.
You've been, yes, you've been around over there a while too.
We have the dogs too.
It's really nice to have you here.
Now, I'm not sure how this works. Do you know how this works?
Yeah, we can figure that out.
Okay.
We'll use that next.